This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the June 4th Board of Selectmen meeting. I'm Mike Frieda, North Haven's first selectman, joined by our second selectman, Mr. William Piper, and our third selectman, Mr. David Cohen. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to ask everyone to stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Item number 2, ladies and gentlemen, any public comment to tonight's agenda? Forgive that glare back there, Bill and David. I looked at the distraction.
Against the chest.
So, all right. So item number 3, the approval of the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes from May 7th. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of May 7th, 2026.
I'll second the approval of those minutes.
All right, we have a motion, and we have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for that vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Item number 4, the approval of the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes from May 22nd at the special meeting.
I'll make
motion.
I'm sorry, Bill.
I'm sorry, I'll motion to approve those minutes.
All right.
I'll second. I'll second.
We have a
Thanks,
motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for that vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, item number 5, first selectman overview. I just want to share some thoughts here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and those watching on NHTV. So I want to start with the concept of public comment. And as I mentioned at the town meeting on Tuesday night, I have never seen this kind of divisiveness in town. And I think it's a bad look for the town, and it's a difficult situation for us to try to reconcile. And we're going to continue to ask for civility at these meetings. And one of the things that I'd like to mention is that I think that we're always going to have public comment that we're going to support. Just so everybody knows, we're one of the few governments that we allow public comment to items that are even off the agenda. Because years ago I said here, you can stay here all night, you can ask me questions all night. Other governments don't do that. Strictly to agenda items. We've never done that here in the 9 terms I've been here. We're not going to change that. But with that comes a responsibility for all of us. And that responsibility is if people come up, you're welcome to come up. Please be respectful. Please ask questions if you don't have the answers, rather than create a narrative that doesn't exist. And when people come up to this microphone, I'm going to ask everybody, and I'll ask David and Bill to weigh in also, that we should not be mentioning anybody's name. We should not be talking about anybody, their names, their children, or whatever it may be. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that's a fair approach here. We've got a great concept here with perpetual public comment, but we can't make it personal to people. And what happens is it creates a perpetuation of divisiveness in North Haven. So I'm going to ask for a motion for our Board of Selectmen here tonight. And the motion would be, we continue to encourage public comment, but we restrict anybody who's bringing people's names up, bringing their children into a discussion. I think that is a fair approach. So I'm going to make that motion here, but I want to open it up for a second and then elaborate discussion. Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second that motion.
All right, let's discuss this. Dave, would you like to start, Dave?
Sure. It's funny you raised this. I was thinking about the same thing.
Go.
Yeah, I think bringing up individual names and speaking about someone in a public town meeting, let me take a step back. Let me start by saying I think public comment both brings out the best and sometimes the worst in people, right? I think it can create wonderful opportunities to bridge gaps and to talk about things that are on folks' mind and to really elicit really interesting conversations, begin dialogue, and start to discuss really important things that are important to our town. And we want to hear from the public. I think as a general matter, it's really important for us to hear from folks. We want to know what's on your mind. And there's very few opportunities for us to do that in a public forum like this. So first and foremost, I think public comment is a wonderful way for us to really gather people's input on what's happening in this town. That said, I also think sometimes it can bring out the worst in us sometimes, that we use it as a platform to speak ill of others in our community. And that really troubles me, and I'm sure it troubles you, and I'm sure this is where this comes from, where this idea comes from. The one caveat I would have to this motion is I think it's important for folks to be able to speak about their elected officials. We are elected officials, and we are responsible for making choices on behalf of the folks who are in our community. So when we talk about not saying names, I think it's important that folks can say, hey, as an elected official, you said this at a meeting, and I want to understand what it was that you said. I think there's a distinction there.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
And that's not negative. I mean, that's not a negative, that's not a personal attack at all. It's a request for an explanation maybe of what you said, or a better understanding of what you've done.
Yeah.
So, I think what we want to stay away from is, because I think as we've said, as all of us have said, including what was said at the town meetings and at this meeting, and the Board of Finance meeting, Board of Education meeting, we're all in this together. So we're trying to come up with something that works for all of us. And it's not like anybody has, I don't believe anybody who is in the audience today, or was in the audience in any of these meetings, or any of the other elected officials, have an agenda to not do the best that they can or what's right for everybody else. And everybody here in the audience today wouldn't be here if they didn't really, want to do the best, to come up with ideas that maybe are the best that we can do to help other people, and help other town members. So I think you want to stay away from anything that's personal and
Right.
accusatory I think, we're very open here, we listen to what people say, but there's no reason to personally attack somebody for what they believe or said. And correspondingly, the people who do talk, and ourselves included, should stay away from anything that would be accusatory or personally offensive to other people.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. And when I say elected officials, I think it has to be the people who are literally in front of you. I think about a court of law, right? You can't make an accusation against someone unless they're there to defend themselves. That's a basic principle of being in a court of law and what's allowed to be entered into evidence and what's not. And so if we're up here and folks are asking us questions and they're referencing us as individuals, as elected officials, I think that's fair game. But if somebody comes up to the mic and that person that they're talking about is not on that, is not in the meeting, is not represented themselves, is not able to defend what they said or answer that question, I think that's off limits. So the elected folks that should be getting those questions are the folks that are involved in that meeting. That's the distinction I think that they make.
And I think to further discuss that distinction, if someone said, well, a member of the Board of Selectmen said this, or a member of the Board of Finance said that, I think that's okay, as long as the names aren't being bandied about. And by the way, folks, I accept the responsibility for a lot of things here, and one of them is this. I've not done a good job at this, so I got to get better at this too. And I accept that responsibility. I'm going to try to set the tone on this for even other meetings, including town meetings. It all starts from the top, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of times, we get wrapped up and people want to talk and you want to cut them off, but that has its own unintended consequences. So I have to do a little bit better job at this, and I accept the responsibility for that.
I may remind you every once in a
Yes,
while.
please do.
Yeah.
Bill, you too. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing too, that we have to have a fair and balanced conversation here, and we have to engage with the public in a reasoned, rational way. But unsubstantiated accusations against people that are not there to defend themselves should be completely and totally off limits. And if we need to use the gavel, we'll encourage you to do so.
Give me the nod then.
Yeah.
If I need to do a better job, please let me know. Now, we also know what we can't control is social media. So what I'm
Yeah.
talking about is these town meetings, the meetings that we're responsible for. I'm all over social media, ladies and gentlemen, and the misinformation out there is striking. it is so, it is, I don't want to say wrong, because they have a right to do that. The information itself is wrong. And what happens when information is wrong, that it becomes a narrative. And when the narrative is impervious to someone like me getting on social media and explaining the situation, as an example, what's going on this solar park that's being built. When you give people the information and they're debating it with you, well, I'm the guy in the middle of all the action here. So you would think that some people would say, gee, you know, thanks, Mike. Thanks for letting me know. I didn't know that part of it. All this wild information out there. And you know, it really makes the town look bad, ladies and gentlemen. It really does. So, all right, I think we're in agreement here then.
Yeah.
So can we restate the motion then?
Well, the other thing too, just maybe as a final thing too, and it's so very difficult for so many people, I think, to know about a lot of the things that, you know, Mike has to be involved with and the different boards have to be involved with, because things are complicated. You know, you look at the budget books that anybody who came to the town meeting had access to, and they have access to it online. But it goes on for pages and pages, and unless you actually are used to looking at it, it's not like it could make sense necessarily to everybody. So I think a lot of what you have to deal with is people not understanding maybe some of the complexities, not only in terms of what we have to do in the town, but by what we have to do because of regulation or unfunded mandates from the state. And you know, and the state has a lot of different priorities which I think maybe didn't come up as well as it should at the last town meeting we had, that don't include North Haven. You know, they have a lot of other things that are a lot of other towns and cities and municipalities that are much worse off than we are. You know, and that's where sometimes their focus is from an aid and a monetary standpoint, and that's why you know, only 5% of our budget comes from the town or from the state, and it's never been much different than that.
Okay, so how about if we memorialize this in a motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, David, would you like to make the motion?
Sure. Did we seconded the motion earlier? Or
Yes.
Would you want to restate?
We'll restate it.
Okay,
Yes.
so if I get this wrong, let me know. But I think it's to restate the motion that when we have public comment, we refrain from mentioning any individual's name unless, and the sole unless is, unless that individual is an elected official and they are in the meeting, and it's either a Board of Selectmen meeting, you can reference the three of us, Board of Ed, Board of Finance, whatever it is, they have to have the opportunity to respond to your questions, to your request for information, whatever it is. So if it's outside of those borders, I think our motion here is that you have to refrain from mentioning anyone's name. Did I get that right? Is that
Yeah.
accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion for a second.
I'll second.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, next subject, before we move on. So I want to give everyone an update, because as I mentioned, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's some confusion. We had the town meeting, and now we move to another referendum on June 9th. I'll be making another robocall announcement on Monday. I wanted to let everyone know that there's been some questions about, you know, what happens if it fails. So we're already mapping out the dates. If it fails, we have to determine whether or not we could get another referendum in by June 30th, which we don't think we can do. And what that would mean is that if it's in early July, then there's no money coming in, and we have to keep the government going. So we have to figure out, you know, what the options would be. Well, I've stated in the beginning that the option would normally be a tax anticipation note strategy that other municipalities have used. Upon further review by me, that the borrowing costs, the legal costs could be very significant, and it might not be the best approach. So I came up with another option, and that is looking at a certain state statute, analyzing what other referendum form of governments have done, and that option could include establishing an arbitrary mill rate just to have money coming in, and then sending a supplemental tax bill out later in the year. And that, for those towns and cities that have done that, that is not necessarily a good thing because the residents don't like that. So we're currently analyzing both options. The first one is cost prohibitive. The second one can create some confusion with sending out supplementary tax bills later in the year after an arbitrary mill rate has been determined. Neither one is a good option. But as I said at the town meeting the other night, I'm prepared for anything, folks. Nothing's going to throw us a curveball here. We're going to get what we need to get done here. David?
Can I, let me ask a hypothetical, make sure I understand. So on the second one, the latter idea. So
Yeah.
the former is just simply we borrow money.
Yes.
And there's cost of financing. And whatever that cost is, that would of course that would burden our budget even further. I think we've
Yeah.
discussed that. The second idea would be I guess we could call it a placeholder mill rate. And so, for example, tell me if I get this right, we would use the current mill rate. We would send out notices for taxes for the first, because it comes in twice, right? It's twice a year. So we send out notices at the current mill rate. We have our budget vote. If it ultimately passes at a different mill rate, we send out a second notice to have a catch-up
Right.
payment.
Could be a catch up or a catch down, so it could go either way.
Could be a catch up or catch down.
Right.
That's true.
Yep.
That's very true. So a catch up or a catch down, but some kind of clawback or additional money that we need, and then we would have a second bill when the second bill would normally come.
Right.
At the then current mill rate.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that would be
Okay.
the second option that I've came up with. I was on the news on this option also on this. Well, one last point. Now we haven't figured.
That would only apply, a second bill only apply to somebody who had a mortgage. So
Yeah.
the mortgage company would use, if we use
Yeah.
the same rate that we have right now, they would continue to use that rate in terms of what the monthly mortgage payments are
Right.
because of the escrow
Yeah.
arrangement. So, I think it affects people who don't have mortgages anymore, and are paying in July and January twice a year versus somebody having a mortgage. I think it's less of an issue for homeowners that still have mortgages.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I'm looking at a possible third option. Not sure if we can do it, but we're just trying to come up with options in the event this doesn't pass. There might be one other option, and I'm going to stress the word might, and I'm not certain about that. We're still doing the research. There's an unintended consequence to this, that we send out one bill in January, once everything gets done. But then we don't have money coming in. We got to borrow. We're going to have to float money to do that. So that's not really
Sounds like an expensive option.
expensive option.
Yeah.
So anyway, what we're doing here is, this isn't up for a debate, folks. I'm giving you the options. And the first option and the second option are the options we're looking at, okay? We have to make a decision on this. Hopefully this budget will pass. So, and that's kind of where we're at right now on this.
A couple of questions on if we borrow. We borrow for presumably the month of July. We borrow month to month, is that correct?
Yes.
And we pay the financing rate for that month.
Right.
And then if we pass a budget in July, the borrowing would cease.
Yes.
We'd clear the month.
Clear the month, right?
And then we'd start fresh
We'd start
August
fresh.
1st.
Right.
Okay.
That's why I thought that first option would be the best, but then the costs are prohibitive in terms of the borrowing costs and the legal fees. So neither option's the best option, but we're trying to figure out options. Because the one option that doesn't exist is to close the government down. That's not going to happen. You've got to have money coming in on July 1st. And if a budget doesn't pass, those are the only mechanisms that we see that we could keep the government going. And for those
And again, I think if you have a mortgage, they're not going to change your payment amount. They're going to go ahead and keep what you're already doing till they know what the new rate is.
Right.
So, and then they'll accumulate that and make up the difference in terms of the escrow. See, so again,
Yes.
it has a much different ramification
Yes.
if you're paying the property taxes through the mortgage.
And one last point on this, ladies and gentlemen, there's not enough money in the fund balance to float the month.
I was just gonna ask you,
So-
using the fund balance, we might get that question.
Right.
And I think there's about 11 and change in there, and that's not enough for the month.
Well, I don't think it's enough because on July 1st, we're still obligated contractually to issue the raises that are where the contracts
Yeah.
are, right? So I don't think there's enough. At the very least, it would wipe out the fund balance, even if it was able to offset what those expenses are that month. And that's not necessarily a good thing to do, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
So,
you're gonna risk for the month of having
Right.
a massive issue come up
That's right.
that we couldn't finance.
Because
we
in the
couldn't
event
fund.
there's an emergency.
Yeah.
And we hope there's not, there's only $300,000 in the contingency fund. So that's really not the best option.
Yeah, those are not awesome options, any of them.
Right. So, but that's where we are, folks, and we're gonna see what happens. To summarize, another robocall will go out on Monday. We have of course, the referendum on the 9th, and we're just encouraging everyone to come out, because even with all the publicity on this budget, with the 2 robocalls, we only had 20.5% turnout,
Yeah,
which is higher than previous years, but that's really something when you think about it, right?
yeah. It was, materially higher than previous
Right.
years. Last year was a big number, and I think it was about 13.5%.
Yep.
If that's right. And years prior to that, I think on average, we were single digits. So I think the message is, if you don't come out to vote, other people are making decisions for you.
Yep.
That is the message. And so coming out to vote is vital to our way of how we govern this town. Participation is mandatory.
I hope I also cleared up Tuesday night, this, shall we say, conjecture that it was done purposely because of the concerts. You saw the slide that night. We mapped it out. Valerie spent a lot of time on this with me, so I hope we cleared that up also.
I was actually curious, what would be the concern? That people would be on the green and they would want to come and vote? It's just unclear to me what the conjecture was.
The conjecture was that we had the town meeting to not have as many people show up at the town meeting because there was a concert that night.
I think the opposite would be true.
I would think so,
They're
right?
down the street.
Right. So, and then we have the concert series are set. I set that with the Park and Rec director, in October, November, January at the latest, right? So even if anyone thought that, well, how come there's a referendum on a concert night? The concert starts at 7 o'clock. It's right down the street from the voting booth. And the polls are open from 6 in the morning to 8 at night.
Yeah, it doesn't, I don't follow the logic, but
That's the logic of the conjecture.
yes,
Why
the logic of the conjecture. Yeah,
And I think you've explained, Mike, how all these, subsequent dates have been really set by statute in terms of we had to go through all these necessary steps and to get everything done as soon as possible. And actually, hopefully, next week, if the budget does pass, then be able to actually create the, for people who are, and not only for the mortgage companies to know what they need to escrow, but for people who don't have mortgages and have to pay the bill, to get the bills out accurately. So you don't have a very, long period of time, for the tax collector to send out the information necessary to all the parties, so that there's accurate billing going on.
yeah.
So I think this is all based on doing it as quickly as possible, and had nothing, and to do it as quickly as possible was more important than worrying about whether it conflicted with an event on the green.
Absolutely. And just to touch on that point for a minute before we move through the rest of the agenda, I think it's important to talk about the day after, right? Bill is talking about the mechanics of the day after and how folks are going to manage their bills and talk to their escrow agents and make sure that they manage that, and their escrow agents will have to keep up to date on that. But the day after, in terms of this town and what's going to happen in this town, and I think the conjecture is emblematic. The conjecture that we just spoke about is emblematic of just a general feeling in town of anger and pain and disappointment, and people feeling that either their government isn't working for them or working hard enough for them, or the answers they're getting aren't satisfying, or anger about the process. Right? The other night we heard a lot of anger about the process itself. But the core here from everyone that I'm hearing from, and the core I'm sure from a lot of people you're hearing from, and you too, Bill, is just a lot of pain, a lot of anger.
Yeah.
And so the day after this budget hopefully passes next Tuesday, we have a lot of repairing to do. We have a lot of healing to do in North Haven. There's a lot of work for us to do as a community to figure out how we do this better. Because there is definitely ways that we as a community can do this better. Because as you said the other night, you feel like we're on a precipice, that you've never seen the anger, the division, the way it's been these last couple of weeks. And I can tell you that I see it too, I feel it too, and on all sides, there is just deep anger. And we have a lot to talk about, and we have a lot to address, and we have a lot to heal.
Yeah.
And I think we need to make sure we heal as a community, and we do it together.
So, to that point that David just mentioned, for those that weren't at the meeting the other night or hadn't watched the meeting, I started off by talking about this very issue. And I told the audience, and those watching on North Haven TV, that in my view, we are, as a community, together, walking a tightrope. One side is hate and one side is hope. One side is ice and one side is fire. And it's a tightrope that we can tumble either side. And I hope that we end up on the side of hope for the future, because there's so much divisiveness right now. That's why I used that metaphor the other night. So, and lastly, I know I said this a couple of times, that we have to also continue to remind everybody that this is a form of government. It's not a council form of government. There's not 9 or 11 or 13 people making the decision on budgets. The people that make the decision are not Mike Frieda, Bill Piper, David Cohen. The Board of Finance makes the recommendations. It's the people that make the decision. So those who like this form of government, we keep encouraging people to come out and vote. Because to your point, David, Bill touched on it too, if you don't vote, then there's not much that we can do to address your concerns other than to go through the process we've gone through for 6 months already, ladies and gentlemen. 6 months we started this process. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
And I think, from not only from this forum, but from the board, the town meetings we've had, from the Board of Finance, the Board of Education meetings, I think everybody has done the best to try to explain the process that exists, because it is complicated. There are a lot of moving parts. There's, a lot of services that are being provided to everybody in the town. And again, I think all the parties involved want to hopefully provide those services as well as they can at a price that hopefully is affordable. And there are things beyond our control, just like personally, we all know, our medical costs have gone up, our energy costs have gone up, our insurance is, our personal insurance has gone up. And that all then relate, and if you want to have people to actually perform the services, I can only say good things about our unions, and that I think they've all negotiated reasonable, fair contracts with 2.5% increases, which I think you mentioned at the meeting, which is less than the inflation rate. I think they're not getting rich, and asking for something well beyond what we're seeing from an inflationary standpoint. And we're trying to be, I think, in terms of what we pay the town employees, be competitive, because you don't want them leaving to go to another town or city where they can get paid more. Because there's a lot of good reasons for why people like to be in fire, police, public works here in North Haven. And, I think we have good library, good community center, senior center, all those things are important, as well as the education. So, we all use those services in different forms or capacities. So it's trying to hopefully make the most out of what we have with what we have available. and try to not burden people more than's necessary, but it's increasingly difficult. So it's not for lack of trying.
I think we're good, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, David. And we'll move on to the next item agenda, and that is item number 6. So Sally Boehme's here this evening, and she had called me to present an idea, which I thought was a good idea, so she's here tonight to talk about this idea.
Yes, good evening, Sally Boehme. I'm here tonight in my capacity as a member of the North Haven Historical Society and its companion organization, which I know you're familiar with, Mike, the North Haven Mayflower Society. And I have my colleague, Jane Iannone from the Historical Society with me, who is working with me on this project. And yes, I did call you. First, I want to thank you for putting me on the agenda. I did call you a couple of weeks ago with this idea, and I want to tell you that the idea came from thoughts that I had after meetings and discussions with the Historical Society about our July 19th, 2026 event on the Green to recognize the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the founding of our country. And so this big event will be on the Green on July 19th, a Sunday, at 2 o'clock. And we've been meeting and emailing and discussing and planning it. It's sponsored by the Historical Society and the Mayflower Society in conjunction with the town of North Haven and the North Haven Congregational Church and the Episcopal Church. And so as I was thinking about this event, it dawned on me that we do not have a memorial to our Revolutionary War veterans. We have the memorials on the Green to World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and post-Vietnam. And if you walk in the front door of the town hall from Church Street, in the foyer between the two sliding doors there's a memorial to the left for the Civil War with all of the North Haveners who participated, and to the right a plaque with all of the North Haveners who participated in World War I. So no Revolutionary War monument anywhere, and I thought, what better time to have one and establish one and dedicate one than here in 2026, the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And I explained this to Mike on the phone, and he agreed it was a great idea. We still have to figure out, of course, with the agreement of the Board of Selectmen, where to put it. We're not quite sure yet what material it will be made of. We are hoping for bronze cast bronze, which is quite heavy. So folks will have to be consulted about where it can go, hopefully here in Town Hall. But I did want to, first I wanted to thank Jane, who's here with me. She provided me with the list of 90 North Haveners who fought in the Revolutionary War. And I'm going to provide you with those names. And please excuse the rough draft, but that's all that we have right now. I'm going to give you each, if I may, approach. I'm going to give you each one of these. Hold on. So those are the lists, and that's what is the original proposal.
Okay.
So we envisioned the plaque to be approximately 2.5 feet by 3 feet, and at the top we'll probably have the 13-starred flag and maybe an eagle in the upper corners, and it will say something like, with the approval of this board, in commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States of America, the people of North Haven dedicate this memorial to our brave citizens who fought in the American Revolution, 1775 to 1783. And then you'll see that I have 3 columns here. That would be the 3 columns that you see typed on the list of the 90 individuals, so there'd be 30 in each column. We're going to switch the names. This list you have has last name first. We're going to switch that around and have first name and then last name. Notice all the Blakesleys, Brackets, Todds, and Pierpoints, all Pierponts, all Thorpes. Lots of streets that we have in town. You'll see that I have 7 asterisks on the arrows for where the names will be. Those represent the 7 North Haveners who died in the war. We'll have a little asterisk saying, as we have in all of our other memorials on the green, that they were killed in action. And then it will say at the bottom, and I hope that we could do this dedication on Veterans Day in November. It is a Wednesday. Perhaps the Board of Selectmen could change their Board of Selectmen meeting to that day, and if we do it here, or we would just have a ceremony itself. But right now, I have it as dedicated on Veterans Day, this 11th day of November, 2026. Michael J. Frieda, First Selectman, William J. Piper, Second Selectman, David A. Cohen, Third Selectman. So that is what will be on the plaque. That's what we envision, if you approve that. Now, I've already gotten some quotes for the cost. I will be doing the fundraising for this, depending upon the place that I'm using for ordering the plaque. Will be giving us several different options and several different price ranges. Again, our preference is the bronze, because that's what all the others are. Doesn't mean we have to have bronze, but of course, that's the most expensive, about $7,400. There's other possibilities of an aluminum cast with black letters of $4,100. Those are rough estimates. They're waiting for me to give a final look of what the plaque will be like, and then they will space it out and give me a price, and then I can contact you.
Yes.
So that is what I decided. I thought a lot about this, and you know, on the 19th, we're going to be honoring the Declaration of Independence. We picked that day because our research tells us that is when the Declaration of Independence was read on the North Haven Green in 1776. Because after it was signed on the 4th of July, copies of it were dispersed throughout colonies and read. And so that's why we picked July 19th. And again, Jane will talk a little bit more. But the Declaration of Independence, in my opinion, and perhaps you'll agree, first of all, it's one of the most historic political documents in the history of mankind, in my opinion. You know, monarchies were still the rule of the day, and this was a tremendous break with a monarchy for people to rule themselves, kind of unheard of. So it was, to me, the Declaration of Independence was like a dream. But the Revolutionary War veterans made that dream come true by winning the revolution. And so that's why I feel that it is important, and I know you share my feelings, Mike, that we have a monument here in our town, especially in this special year.
Yes.
So I will give you an update. I don't know whether I would have to just do that through your office or have to come here again.
We can do it both ways.
We'll figure it out. But
figure that out.
I need probably another month to get some estimates. They said as long as they have, first of all, do you agree about the dedication ceremony being on Veterans Day?
Yes, I do.
Okay, because that's important to know, because I need the time to raise the money.
Right.
And as long as the place I'm using has the final order by early September, they'll have it ready by November 11th.
Okay.
So we have time,
Yeah.
but, I've got to decide and know how much money I've got to raise. So that's why I'm going to try to have it nailed down in about a month, because I'm going to need a couple of months to raise the money.
Well, look, Sally, when you called me on this, I think you heard right away that I like this concept. And you filled in a lot of the details here. I think you did a nice job here tonight. I really do. So we'll open it up to David and to Bill, because I think that it's a great concept, and it's something that that's probably been needed now through the years.
Right.
So, David and Bill, I'm going to leave it up. I'm going to open it up to both of you.
Maybe knowing just like for Memorial Day, the American Legion Post has a Veterans Day ceremony on the green. Maybe you could, if it's not inconvenient for you, I think our next American Legion meeting is June 18th. If it would be okay with you, maybe on a Thursday. It's always on a Thursday. Maybe you could come and mention that to the local Legion Post as well.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, 'cause I mean,
I love
I think-
going there. They're
Oh, I know you do.
my friends.
I think they would be glad to hear all the work that you've done.
Yeah.
What was the, from an historical standpoint, as we've added names to the green, there is a process in terms of discharge papers and DD 214s and things like that to verify somebody's service and the fact that they entered service from North Haven. Because we're not putting, we've not put people who may now live in North Haven but didn't enter service from North Haven if they lived in another town. What's our documents for knowing these people were actually residents of North Haven?
Well, it's interesting you'd bring that up, because actually North Haven did not exist
I know.
until 1786. Matter of
After
fact,
the
you
war.
have a sign outside the door there that says we were incorporated in 1780. That's wrong. Jane and I wanted to take a pen out and turn
Fix
that
it.
0 into a 6. It's 1786. So during the Revolution, the area, the land that is North Haven, was part of New Haven.
Part of New Haven.
But our historical society, with tremendous effort, and I'm sure Jane could provide an update, we are confident that the 90 names on this list are people who lived on the land that is North Haven.
Okay.
So do you want to follow up and answer that? Sure. Jane
Yes,
is
of course.
more of the
It's all
expert.
Good evening. This is a book that we have available at the North Haven Historical Society. It's called North Haven in the Revolution, and it was written in 1976 by Tom Pearsall, who did a lot of research on the Revolution and its effect in North Haven. And he is the one who compiled the list of the men who served from, we were called at that time the Northeast Village. So the men who served in the Revolution were from the Northeast Village. And so it's a pretty in-depth book. It talks about all of the different regiments from Connecticut that our men served in, and where they served, what battles they fought in. And so we're pretty confident that the list of names that we have is accurate.
Good job, Jane. Good to see you here tonight. We're going to turn it over to David. David?
Oh, yeah, Jane, it's very nice to meet you, and
Oh, thank you.
yeah,
Nice to
really, really, really cool. I'd love to take a look at that book. Sally, it's a great
Oh,
idea.
sure. I can leave this with you.
Sure, absolutely. I'd love to look at that. Sally, thank you very much for bringing this up. I think it's a great idea. I'm just thinking about the image of somebody reading the Declaration of Independence on our green, and people coming around and saying, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's fight the monarchy and become our own nation. It's an extraordinary moment of courage. It's pretty remarkable, and we should absolutely be celebrating it. And I look forward to July 19th and to November 11th. Thank you.
Yeah, Jane has the flyers for the
This is
three
hot
of you.
hot
We're
off the
hoping-
press.
Come,
Hot off the press.
he'll
Have one
pass
for
them.
each of you. It's
Thank
an
you.
invitation
Okay, oh, wow, look at that.
Thanks.
to the event.
That's
good.
great. Thank you.
Very good.
Well, yeah, we are hoping that Mike Frieda will be reading the Declaration of
Yes, I'm
Independence.
scheduled to do so.
You're gonna
Thank you.
read it?
I'm gonna read it, yes.
Every word.
I was
No, the
gonna
Declaration of
ask, that's
Independence, not
awesome.
the
Oh, that's a great
Constitution.
idea.
It's not gonna read the Constitution.
No.
Just the
Not your
Declaration.
Spider-Man
Well, the Constitution
costume.
wasn't a thing yet at that point. We didn't have that. We just had the
Right.
Declaration at that
Declaration,
point. So you're
right,
just
yeah.
reading
That's
the
all I read,
Declaration.
right.
That's a
That's
much
great.
better argument.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a great idea.
We have some surprises planned.
Yes.
We're going to try to make it as authentic as possible. Of course, we're going to sing the national anthem, which didn't exist in 1776, but, we are going to have some people in costume, and we'll see how it goes. So I hope everyone will attend on July 19th at 2 o'clock. The bells will be ringing.
Yes.
Wow, that's great.
We believe that Benjamin Trumbull of the Congregational Church actually did the reading.
Wow. Do you know the play 1776? Do you know this play, this famous
Yes.
play?
Yes.
The musical, I was in this play. I was John Livingston in 17,
Okay.
sit down, John, sit down, John, sit down, you're rocking the boat. I was the Pennsylvania guy. And so if you need that to be read, I've memorized
You
it.
have that.
Okay.
I'll bring that to the committee and see if
Yeah.
that will go. Did you have any other
I
comment
just want
about
to say
the
that
19th?
we just hope that this will bring the community together. So it's a community event, not political in any way. And we are not having vendors on the green, because they wouldn't have had vendors at that time. But Landcraft is participating, and the churches are ringing bells. And we have some high school students who are going to be performing some music for us, singing the national anthem. And we're going to recognize the 7 people who, in a special way, who passed away. And we're marking Jacob Thorpe's grave. He is the only one who died in battle and is buried in our cemetery, because he died at the Battle of New Haven. So his body was brought back to North Haven. The other 6 died on battlefields all over the Northeast, so they're not buried in North Haven. So we're going to plant a special flag at his grave, the 13-star flag. Okay.
Nick would be very proud of you tonight, Jane.
Thank you.
So,
And we're still in the planning stages. We have another meeting next week with various people from the organizations that are involved, and we'll probably come up with some other ideas, I'm sure. And we hope to have it about an hour program, no more than that, on a hopefully hot, sunny July day.
okay.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you very much.
You're gonna put something in the advisor too, right?
Oh,
Yes.
all publicity.
Oh, good.
And we have other flyers that are larger that we're hoping we could leave here and have them
Yes.
posted on the bulletin board
Will
or
do.
wherever. Yes, one thing I wanted to say about, we are going to be having a special flag ceremony, and I hope that you 3 will be attending. Have you seen the big, huge branch that fell down from one of the recent windy nights? It's very near Jacob Thorpe's grave. It's in the, wait a minute, northeast corner along
make-
St. John Street.
Make a note of that,
There's
Valerie,
a
okay?
big, huge branch down.
We just
and-
had those trees inspected, I have to tell you, just about like
Yeah.
3 or 4 weeks ago.
Well,
We
it was a
had-
windy night.
Yeah.
You know the night I'm talking about, not too long
Yeah.
ago. Yeah.
But we just did that
So,
on
there's,
the green.
you have 5 or 6 weeks to,
Okay.
because that will be in the way. I don't think it fell right on the grave, but if we're gonna have people standing about,
Yeah.
it will be in the way.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. We'll just check.
We'll
I just wanted to say one thing about Jacob Thorpe. She mentioned him. He's buried in our cemetery. He died on July 5th, 1779, when the British invaded New Haven. They invaded at West Haven and at the other side of the harbor at Lighthouse Point, and Jacob was killed at Lighthouse Point. he was a member of Colonel Worcester's regiment. And Worcester is just not it's not a street where you buy pizza. I mean, we all know Worcester is where to go for pizza, but Colonel Worcester was quite the guy and was defending Lighthouse unsuccessfully that day, and Jacob Thorpe died on that day. So we'll be honoring him, but let's focus more on this plaque. I'll get you the information. I will need some sort of letter from you when I go up and down Washington Avenue trying to get money. And I assume it'll be paid to the treasurer down in North Haven.
Town of North Haven, comma treasurer, yes. Comma treasurer.
But I'm gonna need a letter so I could show the people the letter with my ID, that, who are we giving this check to?
All right.
You know,
We'll
so,
handle that, yeah,
okay?
okay.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you,
your
Sally.
time,
Thank
and
you,
I'm
Sally.
glad
Sally,
you
just
all
one more
like the
quick-
idea.
Sally, one more quick question.
Yes.
Of the people on the list, how many, even though they did not die in battle other than Jacob Thorpe?
No, there were 7 who died in
No, no,
battle.
no.
There's only 1.
He's the only one buried in our cemetery.
Yes.
Of the other people on the list, does the Historical Society know who of those people are buried in our cemetery? Because we may want to honor them as well. You know, so they served, and of the 90 or so, is there like 20 or 30 of these veterans of the Revolutionary
That-
War also in
yeah.
our cemetery?
That would be hard. Some of those graves are awfully hard to read
But
now.
we have a list, though, I think, right?
Yeah, okay,
So it would be good to cross-check the list
right.
against this list of who's buried there. And, you know, we may at the same time want to, not only honor him, even, dying in combat, but the fact that they actually served in our cemetery as well.
Right, I understand. Well, we'll have to discuss that. We'll have to look at that.
It would be interesting to know, that maybe, and then,
Well,
that there is a sizable number of them that are still with us.
Yes, because there's 90, we weren't going to be reading the list of all 90 on July 11th. July 19th, July 19th. We were going to be focusing on just honoring the 7 who died
Oh,
in
yeah.
battle, and then Mr.
I was
Thorpe.
thinking more too in terms of the Veterans Day.
Yes,
That we,
yes.
could,
Well, on Veterans Day, they usually put flags at
right.
the 1812, War of 1812, everybody's,
Right.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sally,
Thanks,
thank you.
Sally.
All right, I'd like to turn the rest of the meeting over to David and to Bill. Next item.
Bill, do you want to do number 7?
Next item on the list is property tax refunds.
No, number 7,
Oh, I'm
please.
sorry, I didn't have my glasses on. I'll motion for, let me put my glasses on so I can read it properly. I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Cindy Golia, I'm sorry, 12 Stanton Road, North Haven, Connecticut, from the Conservation Commission effective June 15th, 2026.
I will second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. I'd like to just speak on behalf of Cindy. We've worked together here, our office and Cindy, for many, many years. And her and her husband, Anthony, have sold their house and they're moving to Florida. She's going to be someone we're going to miss, and she was always so instrumental in this garden club. She's done a lot down through the years. Cindy, if you're watching, and Anthony, if you're watching, we greatly appreciate your efforts down through the years, and we will miss you. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 8. This is Val. So Val, do I need to read all of these or just one?
No.
1.
I know. I have to do this now
It's our
every meeting.
shtick.
It's our thing. So we will be, there are property tax refunds. There are a number of these. They are all very immaterial. I'd like to make a motion to accept all these property tax refunds under number 8.
I will second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll call for that vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, item number 9, that's, I guess, me. Next regular meeting at the Board of Selectmen, for the Board of Selectmen, is Thursday, July 2nd, 6:30 here upstairs in North Haven's Memorial Town Hall. We're at the point, ladies and gentlemen, for public comment. That-
Just real quick, on
Yes.
public comment, if you come up, there are cookies up there. Anyone who speaks public comment gets a cookie. It's to put you, on the conversation we had earlier, it's to put you in a good mood so that you are kind and compassionate and thoughtful.
So,
Have a cookie.
I already have
That's
one,
it.
does that mean I have to speak?
Yeah, no, you don't have.
all right, we have David Yacarino, our state representative here. Dave?
And the cookies have no peanuts or gluten-free, right?
I cannot promise that.
I saw some hands in the back. We'll get to you.
Be careful.
momentarily.
Yeah, be
David,
careful.
how are you?
Eat the cookies at your own,
As always.
you have a peanut allergy.
Yes.
I shook your hand. Well, good evening. And I'm Dave Yacarino, 1804 Hartford Turnpike. I generally don't come to the selectmen meeting, and I give you a lot of credit this right here. God bless you. I'm listening to it, and you do a lot of good work. I'm here about a public comment, but hopefully people will pass the budget Tuesday evening. I know how difficult it is to pass a budget, and we do it every year in the Capitol. And it's a difficult decision, but I think we have to move forward in our town. But I'm here really for a good friend of mine, and I do agree with Jane Susan. We need to be unified, and we have a great community. I grew up here, wonderful people, and to be good to each other and love one another and be kind to each other. And that's why I'm here. Because a good friend of mine, Adam Schrott, there's been a lot of talk about him. I've worked and volunteered with Adam for 20 years in this town through the school systems and other charitable foundations. He's a great person, a good person, and I just came here in support of a friend of mine that things were said about him that are not true. And I just want to make it clear he's a good person and a good man. And social media could be very divisive. I did a video about it a couple months ago. Of course, I was attacked for doing bad about being kind. But it's really about being good to one another, being honest, and to really honor the work that these three men are doing for our community. You work really, really hard, and for people to be fighting like little children, I think it's despicable sometimes. So that's all I have to say, and just be good to each other. And I give you a lot of credit. Sitting here listening to this, I haven't been to a selectman meeting in, I think, 17, 18 years. I think when we first learned, I was actually 20 years. So I give you all a lot of credit. Thank Valerie, of course.
Thank you, Dave.
That's all.
Thank
Just
you.
be good. Be good to each other.
Just a quick response to
Yes, sir.
Dave. I love these meetings, I really do. And one of
I
my-
can see it.
I love it. And one of my favorite parts, you know the rules, I can't talk to these guys unless we're
Yeah, it's a
here.
little, I think that's a little, it's
That's-
hard. I get it, though.
That is the rules.
I know.
So I can't talk to these guys unless we're together.
Right.
And so what that means is that everyone here and watching gets to see our kind of ongoing conversation that we get to have once a month with each other. And it's one of my favorite parts about being up here is we get to actually just talk to each other. And people get to listen in on our conversations.
It's important.
And I love it.
It's important to have good government because you listen to each other and you have good ideas. And
Yeah.
we do, in Hartford, some of my best friends are Democrats, and we listen to each other and converse. We could meet outside of the chamber. Unfortunately, you guys can't. I was just talking to your neighbor Rich about it today.
Yeah.
I don't know the rules, the statute in town, but I think it's good to have that conversation.
Yeah.
And I could see it, you work well together, and of course, Bill's like the anchor over there, but
That's very kind of you.
a good anchor. But that's it, but I give you a lot of credit. I mean it.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
All
Thank
right?
you.
It's
Thank
good seeing you.
Good seeing you.
Thank you.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yes, Bill.
and over the years, I think there've been occasions where after the meeting, or maybe somebody's during the meeting, I thank people for coming to the meeting.
Yeah.
Because we have 15, I've counted, right, I think we have 15 or 17 people, and we count our representatives from the police department here tonight. It's nice having people come because it's so much easier to watch us on TV. But then they don't get to interact with us and ask us questions and make us think about things or respond to things which I think are important to the people who are watching us on TV. Or can't watch it on TV right now, but will watch it later. So I think it's such a big advantage to have people here and interact with us so that the people at home can actually, actually probably have even a better understanding or have their own questions answered just by the people in attendance here. And it's not practical, unfortunately, I think, to have people call in. I think we've talked about that over the years. It just would be, it just wouldn't work. But, so it's very nice, and I think my thanks and our thanks for everybody that's here tonight.
Mike is out there everywhere, which is a good, we're together a lot, and that helps a lot for the community. So anyway, God bless you all, and thank you.
Thanks, David. Thank you.
I'm not gonna have a cookie. You know what, who brought me up?
I did, they're delicious.
She didn't spike me, did you?
I had one, they're awesome.
All
right, thank
Can I
you,
shake your
David.
hand,
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay.
That was it.
Okay. Sue and then Mary White, okay? If Al Warren gets up on Charles Court on drainage, I'm gonna need your help on that.
I have multiple ones here. The first one is, before the construction workers leave the building, as far as being done with fixing this building and renovating it, they might want to check this back stairwell door, because with nobody near it, it seems to keep whacking the door jamb. Just letting you know, because I'm sure you wouldn't know if you weren't sitting there. I know the police officer back there does know. I also wish that, Mike, your relationship with Governor Lamont could find a way to get North Haven the educational support that we need. I know Mr. Yacarino, I spoke with you. I didn't say I'm Sue Benvenuti, you did, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Bassett Road, I didn't tell him. And I know that you tried to give formulas that hopefully were gonna give us a fair amount, and obviously they were shot down. But just putting it out there. And as far as the tax bill and the tax situation, if this does not pass, first of all, I don't understand why we cannot have another vote on June 30th, since it's exactly the exact same 3 weeks, including one-day holiday, as from May 19th until June 9th. But,
We might be able to, but we would not get the bills out before June 30th.
okay.
So that's part of the issue.
Okay. And the other thing on the billing, I wholeheartedly think that the town should really consider sending the bills out with a big letter in the front, on the inside, explaining that this is a bill that is with last year's mill rate, because this year's mill rate has not been decided yet. And you can even use one of those big stamps on the outside. Further information on this tax is coming. There's a way to word it so that, people, they're gonna see, instead of just little print on the stuff there. And I know you spoke about the calling people out at the meetings. And when my comment was about the AD, I was merely repeating what was heard when I was at the Board of Ed workshop. There was a name that was used. I didn't even know who the AD was. And I was trying to just get the point that we don't try to reserve people's jobs, employment. We try to reserve positions. We try to save positions, regardless of who's holding that position. That was what I was trying to say when the man in the front row decided to call me out and say that I was calling somebody out, whatever he said that I did, a personal attack. And I said, it absolutely was not. I'm merely returning it and repeating what was told on the TV, in the room. And then after the superintendent had gotten up and made a comment on mine, I turned to him just like everyone in here does. If I say something and you respond to it after I've started to walk back, we usually turn around and can respond back. And that's when the mediator said, no crosstalk. And I thought, you didn't stop. But that's what I'm saying, okay? And I am fully aware this is not the only town that has all these discrepancies as far as the budget goes. You and I both know that Guilford's on their third vote. I drive from here to Middletown a couple times a week, and I see that some towns vote school budget, some towns vote town budget, some towns vote both. And so it is going on, and it's not a North Haven problem, but North Haven happens to be part of Connecticut, which happens to be part of the United States, and this divide is throughout the country. This ugliness, this tearing people down is throughout the country. You don't know, like in the community center, we don't discuss politics. I know that that's code of ethics in the Guilford Community Center, you're not allowed to. I don't know if it's in the code of ethics in North Haven's, but we choose not to because we can sit there and play cards and not be on the same political views. And I can also be same political view with you on one thing, but not on something else. So, I mean, to call North Haven, it's not North Haven that has this hate issue and this hope issue. I have hope. I have hope for this country because it scares me where it's going. I have to be honest with you. It scared me 35 years ago when I had a child because I saw terrible discrepancies in this world. And it scared my parents in 1968 when they moved us from New Haven to Guilford by pinching every penny they could to get us out where the riots were. And we actually had a police radio with us so we could hear what was going on. So it happens throughout. It's not unique to our town. We will never all be united. We will always have different opinions. That's what we were all given, separate opinions. So I think I said everything without trying to call anybody out but I do know that that's something that people have said, why don't we vote on these separately, or why doesn't our vote say not just yes and no, yes to this one, no to this one? I don't know those things. Somebody told me a charter has to be changed. I don't know. Obviously, when I repeat certain things that I read online or that I thought I heard from the source, something got lost in the translation. So when I'm called out and I'm wrong, I admit it. I'm wrong, I'm sorry, and that's my apologies there. So that's me.
Thank you. Mary White.
This is my bad ear.
Mary White, Summer Lane. I have 3 topics. It's mostly informational things. So the first did I say Summer Lane? Mary White, Summer Lane. Okay. So Public Act 25-1, excuse me, that's an act concerning housing growth, and it was passed November 2025, special session, House Bill 8002. So this bill was supposed to be about adding more affordable housing, and unfortunately, it sort of doesn't. Like, developers face fewer hurdles, and they can actually opt out of the affordable housing. So the town attorney has been attending informational sessions, and the Planning and Zoning Commission will be having public hearings or meetings where the town attorney will explain House Bill 8002. They will discuss what parts will be implemented, and let's see. So some of what's in the bill is mandatory, and some of it is optional, so it's a bit confusing. So I just went through some things. So local municipalities, this part's mandatory. Local municipalities relative to municipal affordable housing goals can have their goals included as part of the regional affordable housing goals, utilizing Connecticut's Council of Government COG structure to develop a regional housing growth plan. So it's regional HGPs, or they can create their own municipal HGP, subject to the detailed requirements in the bill. So let's see. So some of the housing growth policies, which could be included in the HGP, zoning regulation amendments, fee waivers, tax fixing agreements, tax abatements, expedited housing development, approval processes, municipal or regional actions seeking funding for the development of affordable housing units or sewer infrastructure, donating municipal land for development, or entering into agreements with developers for developments that include affordable housing units. Okay, let's see. So most of the COGs are required to submit their draft regional HGP to the Connecticut Office of Policy and Management, OPM, by June 1st, 2028. So what does that mean? So that means unelected bureaucrats in Hartford who are partisans, who could be partisans, will be making decisions. They will approve what they want, and they will deny what they want for whatever reason. Okay, so developers, they do not have to include the affordable housing component, which is what we thought the main purpose of the bill was. So the bill removes off-street parking requirements for multifamily housing with fewer than 16 units. Further, there is the transit community middle housing, which includes duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, cottage clusters, and townhouses consisting of between 2 and 9 units. Under the bill, there is no public hearing, just a summary review. There is an as-of-right claim for property owners of commercial or mixed-use lots. So this, I think, the skipping of the public hearing and just a summary review might have the requirement of if they put the affordable component on, but I'm not sure, so we'll have to wait and see what the town attorney says. So municipalities can opt in to allow transit community middle housing by summary review on any residentially zoned lot, and municipalities will be awarded points toward a moratorium under 8-30G based on the number of transit community middle housing units developed. Okay, so we have to watch out for when those meetings will be on the HB 8002. Is it possible when they do schedule the meetings, could the notice, when you go on the town's website, could that notice be like, boom, like right there, so people will know about it? Because a lot of people don't follow zoning. I mean, I do, but a lot of people don't. And I'm understanding that it's gonna be like a separate zoning meeting, not like part of the regular meeting.
We'll make a note to Alex, okay? So,
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so the next topic, so on the Monday, June 1st, planning and zoning agenda under correspondence, there was mention of a letter that the town land use received, so I wanted to see what that was all about. So that was a notice of the Connecticut Siting Council will conduct a public hearing via Zoom conferencing on Thursday, July 16, 2026, beginning with an evidentiary session at 2 p.m., continuing with a public comment session at 6:30. So what's that about? So it's an application from Homeland Towers LLC and Selco Partnership doing business as Verizon Wireless for a certificate of environmental compatibility and public need for the construction, maintenance, and operation of a telecommunications facility, also known as a 125-foot cell tower, and associated equipment located at 402 Clintonville, North Haven. Purpose of the meeting is for the applicant to provide evidence the public need for the facility outweighs any adverse environmental effects from the construction, operation, and maintenance of the facility. Okay, so the notice was given to the town May 4th, 2026. It can be viewed at land use. You could call and ask it to be emailed to you. So there's very specific guidelines for the public to speak, such as the comments can be no more than 3 minutes long, and they must be submitted in advance, and you have to be mindful of deadlines. No public comment is permitted during the evidentiary portion. The letter contains Zoom links and passwords, as well as specific instructions for watching, listening, and speaking. So if you live near 402 Clintonville, Tuscan Village, Fieldstone Court, you may want to get the details about the 120-foot monopole and the cell tower communications facility being proposed. Some information you may want to find out would be, did they obtain the 40-year lease from the property owner? How many antennas in groups of 3 do they expect on the pole? So in case some people don't know, 1 antenna transmits signals to mobile units, and 2 antennas are used to receive signals. Let's see, how many spots on the pole for other carriers to rent? How many radio channels or transmitters will there be? Will there be a camera for emergency services? Will there be a municipal antenna? What will the decibels be for each generator? Let's see, what will the decibels be during the day, during the night? So our sound ordinance, chapter 146-4, for zone A is 55 decibels during the day and 45 decibels at night. So how does what they're proposing compare to that? What is the closest residential property in feet? Will they include a monopine in their application since there is residential nearby? So monopines cost approximately $100,000, and I did a research of Verizon's net worth. So as of June 3rd, 2026, they're valued at $192.45 billion. So I think they could swing the $100,000 for the monopine. So that's the greenery around it. So let's see. Okay, yeah. So the majority of the cell towers in urban and suburban areas operate at an effective radiated power ERP at 100 watts per channel. How does this compare with what is being proposed? How does the FCC's radio frequency exposure guidelines of cellular and personal communication service, it's PCS, of maximum permissible exposure level to the general public of approximately 580 microwatts per square centimeters compare with this proposed PCS cell tower? And in the event the cell tower or facility catches fire due to a lightning strike or by other means, what are the plans for fire suppression? The fire chief has stated ponds cannot be used because bacteria gets in the hoses and trucks. And lastly, I just want to remind everybody to go out on Tuesday, June 9th, at the rec center and vote on the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, we got, let's see, Adam Surratt, we've been there. Come back to you, Sally, okay?
Adam Surratt, Allendale Drive. For 20 years, I volunteered. I've given thousands of hours to this town. I've raised tens of thousands of dollars. 2 days ago, I was attacked by a member of the Board of Ed. I know we can't say names yet, with a lie. I've never been on social media once. And I said, she said that I attacked her family and her children on social media. I'm disappointed she's not here to apologize, but I'm disgusted by it. Thank you.
All right, Sally Buemi.
Sally Buemi, 5 Blossom Drive. I have a few things. I wanted to talk about the education cost sharing, because a lot of folks during the public hearings and at Board of Finance public comment talked about education cost sharing quite a bit. And, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, in my education cost sharing is, here in North Haven, a revenue source. It doesn't go directly to the Board of Education. A lot of people think that if the education cost sharing grant went up, say, $5 or $6 million, that would go to the Board of Education. It does not. It goes into the general fund, and that means that right now we get about $4.4 million in education cost sharing. That means that that's $4.4 million less that the taxpayers have to be relied on to support the expenditure budget. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
Yes. So, and a lot of times the education cost sharing gets confused with the excess cost grant. I've seen in the past Board of Finance members confusing the two. The excess cost grant does come from the state directly to the Board of Education. It's been about $1 million for quite a few years now, and that reimburses directly to the Board of Ed for expenses related to special ed. So that is a state grant that goes directly to the Board of Ed, in addition to the money that they get authorized by the referendum. The education cost sharing does not. And there's a lot of criticism of our state representative, Mr. Yacarino, our state senator, Paul Ciccarello, that they're not getting more for us. And I just want to share an experience I had a few years ago. I was at a public event, and I talked with a prominent state senator who I had known in my professional career as well. And he was a fellow Democrat, and I said, you know, what's the deal with this formula? Why can't we change this formula and get more money for North Haven? And the way he explained it to me was, you have to think of the education cost sharing as a pie. And right now, that pie is about $2.4 billion. The last numbers that I've looked at were 2025, so it might be more, but about 2.4 billion.
It's higher.
It's not, well, like I said, I'm,
$200 million this year.
yeah. Okay, 2.6. That's a big pie. And he said, it's a pie, and if you change the formula, some pieces, which are large pieces, are gonna have to get smaller in order for those with smaller pieces to get more. And there are forces that don't want that to happen. And when you look at the money that, for example, our largest cities, Bridgeport, Hartford, they're well in excess of 200 million. New Haven and Waterbury in the $180, $190 million range.
Plus, they get federal dollars also.
Yeah, yes, but I'm just talking about education cost sharing from the state. And then you have your what I call second-tier cities, like your New Britain and Meriden, Middletown, West Haven, New London, Torrington, these middle-tier cities. Bristol is another one. They're getting, 40, 50, 60 million. They don't want the formula changed. And when Democrats, and I am a Democrat, but when my fellow Democrats criticize our state rep and our state senator, you have to ask yourself, the formula can only be changed by state legislation. And who has been in control of our state rep, our state assembly and our state senate for 40 years? Democrats. And the Democrats that represent these large cities do not want the pie changed. And it's very difficult to change the formula. But I just wanted people to understand that it does not go directly to the Board of Ed. I also want to talk a little bit about taxes. The budget that is proposed, which I support, the budget that is going to be voted on June 9th, it's about 144 million. And again, if you look at the revenue budget, everybody forgets about the revenue budget. The revenue budget to me is more important than the expenditure side. We spend all of our time figuring out the amount of money we're going to spend and what we're going to spend it on. The revenue budget is equally as important. It's on pages 7 and 8 in the budget book. If you look, you'll see that we are, of the 144 million that we need to collect in revenue to support this budget, which I hope will pass, 128 million is coming from the property taxes. That's 89%. Just a few years ago, it was 86%. Last year, it was 88. So that, to me, is alarming, and it should be alarming to you. That means that the property taxes are growing at a faster rate than the other 39 sources of revenue that we have. And it's a bigger burden on our taxpayers. Of course, the residential portion of our grand list, I think it's about 55%, somewhere in there. We have 5 parts of the grand list: the residential, commercial, industrial, personal property, and motor vehicle. About 55% of the grand list, and therefore 55% of our taxes come from residential. That's about 70.4 million out of the 128. So that is growing also for various reasons. One was the reval. As you know, it shifted a bigger portion of the tax burden to the residences because the residential properties went up at a higher rate than the commercial and industrial. So I'm very concerned, and I'm wondering if at all of these, you know, you belong to the small cities and towns group. I forget the acronym, and of course you are very prominent in the South Central Regional, the COG. You know, going forward, as you pointed out, the property tax for a lot of people in North Haven is over $10,000 now. And just 10 years ago, it was about $5,000. I really think that it's time to look at how we fund municipal services. And I'm just concerned because property taxes are a regressive tax, just like sales tax. A regressive tax means that for lower income people, they're paying a higher proportion of their income to pay that tax. Income tax is at least arguably a progressive tax, meaning the more you make, the more tax you pay. And an example is, for example, a raised ranch, side by side here in North Haven. The exact same house, very similar assessment. And you have, in one house, two wage earners, maybe earning $150,000 combined. That $10,000 tax is 6.6% of their income. Next door is retired single person or even couple bringing in $50,000. That $10,000 is 20% of their income. That is the definition of a regressive tax. So I'm wondering if there has been any discussion of other ways to fund municipal services, because, again, I started off by explaining we're at 89% of our revenue is now property taxes, and it's growing and growing every year.
I think the only way to fund it is to get more from the state of Connecticut, which, again, as you've already pointed out very correctly, is that the money doesn't come to well-run towns like North Haven. It goes to towns that aren't, or cities that aren't well-run. And actually need the money.
I'm not talking about the existing structure and the education question.
So what would you propose then? How would you then, you know, you look at the other ways that we raise income. You know, we've been lucky that short-term rates have been relatively high recently. We've had that. You know, our next biggest thing are things like building permits. I mean, you can only do so much building, get so many building permits.
Right.
So what other ways would you propose? Do you?
Well, one idea.
There really isn't any other ways that I can tell you that you don't want to hear.
I'm sorry, Bill, there are some working groups that are thinking about other ways that municipalities can start to generate more revenue outside of property taxes.
Right.
Income taxes, sales.
Income tax, thank you. That's
A portion of sales taxes
Right.
could go, that has been discussed at the legislature before. Dave knows far more about that than I do, but it's.
I would,
We
I
gotta go
just,
one by one here.
I just,
So,
well,
Sally,
that's,
to your point, I think that a lot of folks have recognized this across the state as an issue. Because under current laws, Connecticut has one way, Connecticut municipalities have one way of raising money. And that's through property taxes.
right. What,
And that is obviously potentially unsustainable.
it's at the, this is the point that I was making. It's regressive, and with my, you know, 10,000 example.
Yeah.
My idea is, and everybody's going to freak out, well, you mentioned income tax. I think we have about 9,000 single-family residences in town. And I think that one possibility is for every house, because every house enjoys services from the town, whether it's sanitation, police service, fire, whatever. A base property tax of, let's say, $6,000 times the 9,000 households, that would bring in 54 million out of, currently we need about 70 million from residential to meet the 128 million for this budget, okay? Because, as I said, 128 million is the total property tax, 70 million comes from residential property, it's 55% of the grand list. So if every house paid a $6,000 base amount, and then the difference, another 16 million, would be an income tax.
So income, you could do a portion of sales tax. There are other ways to, so we generate sales tax in our community, obviously, but that is remitted directly to the state. So we could take a portion. It's been discussed. There are working groups in Hartford discussing it right now. I need to be closer.
Yeah, your microphone.
Your microphone is not.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks. So let me just repeat real fast. So your idea was income tax. There are working groups here in Hartford that are looking at both of these things in addition to other ideas. So it is being discussed, I know that. But I can tell you that as a municipality, you know this as well as I do, we don't have the authority to implement something like that.
No, absolutely not. But
So-
that's why I mentioned the
Sally,
COG.
you're actually advocating a local income tax. Is that what you're doing?
After everyone pays a base salary.
That's-
No, I'm just saying that's an example.
But that's a guarantee that, on the other side, that, you know, you will have continued outflow of people leaving Connecticut. Because that's what you've already seen in people leaving in New York City and other places that have local income taxes. Because
I
those
thought
are
the problem
those are
was too many
regressive
people
in-
are coming in.
Those are regressive in their own right.
Yeah.
That's why people left New York, because I know people who live in New York and who have left New York City, because they have such a high state income tax, but also a high local income tax. So I'm definitely not in favor of any local income tax.
Well, again,
So, you're guaranteeing that you're going to further erode your tax base.
Yeah, I'm just presenting it as,
Well, I think it's a bad idea. So
Yeah, well,
I don't
but
wanna
here's.
hear it. Yeah, I think you're presenting a bad idea.
Okay, well, I used to teach the future problem solvers class at the
So
middle school and high school.
You're going to create a new problem, that's all.
Yeah. And
Your
and-
idea creates a new problem. Thank you.
Okay,
I think so Sally,
but you have said that other people are considering an income tax
There
as
are.
I
well.
think it's a real bad idea.
I like the sales tax idea too. We should get a portion
All
of
I'm
the sales
telling
tax
you-
generated
I
here.
don't think we need to,
Right.
this is not a
I would
conversation
No.
agree with
Board of
that we
Selectmen
should get a
meetings.
percentage of the sales tax.
What I was gonna say is, I used to
Hartford
teach.
won't send it here, it'll send it somewhere else.
Right. Folks, let me interject here.
Yeah.
We're going way beyond the
Yeah.
authority of North Haven.
Well-
I'm going to answer your question. Yes, I've said it several times. Yes, I was president and chairman of all the cities and towns. Yes, president and chairman of all the council of small towns, 35,000 and under. We talk about this all the time. We've put in reports together, CCM and costs. It's a topic of discussion in every municipality across the state. So, led by the bodies that we are part of. So, but we're not going to solve that here.
Right, well, I didn't want to solve it here, but somebody asked me what idea I had, so that's why I gave it. But I just wanted to say that property taxes are a regressive tax. I think they're getting to their breaking point, as we're seeing with the percentage of taxes that are needed every year to meet our budget, going from 86 now up to 89. My original question was, are other topics being discussed?
Yes.
And so you're saying yes, and
Yeah.
Mr. Cohen has given explanations that, so that's really what I wanted. Somebody asked me what idea I had. I was trying to explain, I used to teach future problem solving in the high school and middle school, and it always started with a problem, and the first step was always brainstorming. Every idea was an idea. There was no bad idea or no good idea. You just throw out ideas. So that's an idea I just threw out. I'm not saying I'm advocating for it, I'm just saying that there's gotta be other ways to raise the money, because the property tax is at its breaking point. If it's gone, as Mr. Frieda showed in his slides at the budget town meeting, if it's gone from 5 to 10 in the past 10 years for the average homeowner, it's doubled. When is it going to stop? It's at a breaking
Sally,
point. So that's all I wanted to say.
No, I think it's an important conversation. I think, as Michael has said, that this comes up at all of your meetings.
All the meetings, right.
And it is, something that I know people are talking about in Hartford, for sure.
Well,
Dave has his hand, maybe he, okay.
Thank you.
I just came here for that, but I want to address two things, and again, you guys do a great job. So, the aspect of property tax, we've looked at it, to Dave's point. We are trying to address it. We had working groups this year. We wanted to bring the property tax exemption to homeowners to $650. It didn't work this year. It's at $300 now. When I was first elected, it was $500. We feel that's important to get to the $650. To the local income tax or local sales tax, to Bill's right, it's not gonna work. People will leave, they'll move from North Haven to maybe North Branford or somewhere else. I don't think it's a really good idea. But we want to address it, and that's what our goal is. I was talking to Mike today. Inflation is high, and energy is high, insurance is high. There's so many things that are so much more expensive. But as far as ECS, we modified the formula in 2017. Since then, North Haven's got more money every year, and many towns have. And this year's budget, all towns got 4%, exactly 4% more than they got the year before. North Haven will get 2% more next year, and hopefully even more. We get about $9 million between ECS and other aid. Plus, we'll get another $461,000 this year and the excess costs from last year. But we tasked the governor, and we've been pushing it, both, not just Republicans, but Democrats and Republicans, to address this formula, the need for the towns. And there is a blue panel ribbon that was bipartisan, they're tasked to, look at the formula and increase it. And that's the goal. And hopefully we'll get there. Obviously, any Democrat or Republican wants as much money for their town as possible. Anybody that doesn't want to fight for the town, I think people that say that, it's just not a reality. You want to do as much as for your town, all three of you, right? You're going to do as much as you can. If you don't, that's a little derelict, I think. So we are trying to address it. The formula wasn't modified in 2017 with the bipartisan Republican budget that we're reaping the benefits for today. But the fact is, it's expensive to live in Connecticut. And I give you a lot of credit. Like I said, it's a lot. You can only take so much money from people. So that's all. So the formula was modified in 17. It's not where we want it today. We want to get it to a higher level. And there's only so much money to be on. I'm not, you can't just, you don't want somebody to say, you don't want somebody to lie. There's only so much money. And hopefully we get more money down the road. That's the way it is. That's the goal. That's the goal of anybody. My friend Mary Willander is a Democrat from Orange. She fights just as hard as I fight. We put bills in. Most of us put bills in to increase the formula. Just, the governor and the majority party didn't do it. I don't think it's that they're greedy. I just think that people get complacent, and we need to keep fighting and pushing to help you guys and help the town. So that's it.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? Stephanie?
Yeah, just really quickly.
Yes.
So just in regards to the robocalls.
Please say your name.
Oh, sorry, Stephanie Magnuson, 7 Manor Drive. Forgot, like everybody else.
Thank you.
Just really quickly in regards to the robocalls, after you said that the last time you were going to do the robocall, I did some digging because I realized that I was not signed up for robocalls. When we first moved to the town, my home landline was. And then we switched over and we no longer have that home landline, and we all have cell phones, and none of us ever enrolled in that. Oh. It took me a little bit of digging to figure out where on the website to enroll.
Okay.
I was wondering, and I didn't know if there's any way maybe at some point, and it doesn't have to be now. I know it's sort of prevalent because we're using it now for the voting, but maybe to put it somewhere more forward on the website that it's a little bit easier to find to enroll.
I think so.
Even for a short amount of time. I'm pretty technical, and it took me a bit to figure it out, to be honest with you.
So you have to opt in.
You do. You have to opt in. You have to sign up for the name of the company. I forget what it's called. You have to actually make an account. Everbridge.
Yeah.
Then you have to enroll your phone number. Then you can opt into calls or texts or both. And then you would have to do that for each phone number in your family or household that wanted to receive those numbers.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit of a process, so.
I think it's a good point. I think we can do it, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you.
One other thing I want to mention about the robocall is some people on their cell phones have a call blocker. And if you have a call blocker, you're not going to get the call, because we've had people say, I didn't get the call, but then we say, do you have a spam blocker or a call blocker on your cell phone? And they say yes. That's why it's not going through.
Yeah, and I think once you get one of the calls, if you add that as to your contacts, that should stop that from happening.
Yes.
So if you take whatever number that the robocalls come from and add it to a part of your contacts, that will help too.
And I will put a link right under announcements.
Yeah, it took me a little while to
I'll do that.
That's great.
Okay,
Thanks, Deb.
thank you. All right, Peter, yes.
By the way, why get
I'm sorry?
an opportunity to give you, because I did.
Oh, jeez.
I'm a little jealous. I mean,
Oh, boy.
Peter Criscola. Peter Criscola,
Hugs all around.
54 Fieldstone Court. Thank you very much. First, I want to say you guys did a great job. The Board of Finance did a great job. The Board of Selectmen, you did a great job with the budget. The first thing I am going to say is, please, please, everyone in town, please come out Tuesday and vote yes on this budget. Knocking this budget down a second time will be catastrophic to the town's safety. Let's think about that. Safety first, okay? The Board of Ed is number one. I understand that. We have to have that, and I'll get into that in a second. But safety is paramount. We have two officers right here now. They're shorthanded. Now you took away 2 more of their vehicles. You're going to put another officer on, which should go on today. That officer's going to go on the first of the year. Our fire department is dangerously unstaffed. We are understaffed, dangerously, okay? We should have, right now, we should be putting on 4 firefighters that should have equaled 14. We don't even have 2 coming on. They're going to come on if this budget passes in January. If the budget gets cut, we will not see those firefighters. We will not see that police officer, okay? Public Works does a fantastic job. They've already cut them down to nothing, okay? We cannot take a cut. It's impossible. You have to vote yes, okay? And I've heard about the taxes going up. No one wants to pay more taxes. I'm on a fixed income. I'm 70, I'll be 77, okay? I have no children in the school, no grandchildren in school. I live in a condo. I get no sanitation pickup. But I'm willing to bear that extra burden, okay? As far as an income tax, that would be my first thing I would do, would put a for sale sign on my condo, because I would move out of town if that was ever implemented in this town.
It would have to be statewide, not town.
Sal, I appreciate you interjecting, but I didn't interject when you spoke.
Thank you.
And the bottom line is, just mentioning that is a scary tactic. Because again, like I said, I don't get any of those services, sanitation, school, nothing. Why should I be penalized because I'm successful and I have extra money coming in somewhere? That's not fair. And the reason why our property taxes have doubled in 10 years, because our value has doubled in 10 years. And I said that, you want your taxes to go back to the $5,000, then your $800,000 home is worth $400,000. No one's going to sell it for that, because I will start buying them right now. No one is going to sell their houses for half. Unfortunately, it's a sign of the times. It's nationwide. It's not just North Haven, not just the Connecticut, the East Coast. It's nationwide. Taxes are going up everywhere, unfortunately. It's part of life. Hopefully, there'll be other revenues that will come into town, maybe different companies, buildings. There's a couple of other things I know that people were talking about with the landfill properties in town that may generate extra money. That would bring in extra tipping fees for us. That would bring in money to put into maybe safer grants, not just to buy equipment and stuff, but maybe help with a safer grant. Police, fire. Look, my number one concern is my fire department. Everyone knows that, okay? But public safety, we have 2 right here. They put their life on the line every single minute of every day. They don't take holidays. Every day their life is on the line, every minute. So they deserve everything they get, and then some. And we are probably the lowest paid safety departments in the region, okay? People could go right around the corner to Hampton and make more money. So, trust me, people want to be here because it's a great town. We have the best of everything in this town, and I love it, okay? That's on that note. On a nice, cheerful note now, I just want to mention that in the last 2 months, I've been working with Jordan's in New Haven, furniture, who's put me in touch with their Boston office, their main office. I was able to work with them, who put me in touch with their manufacturing firm they do business with, is Bluebell King Coil Mattress Company in East Windsor. I was able to secure 22 new mattresses for our fire department. Our firefighters now have new mattresses the first time in almost 12 years, okay? And trust me, it's not because they want to sleep all day or all night. They need that couple of hours they get in between calls. They need to be comfortable. It's the sleep deprivation that'll hurt them. And because of the lack of firefighters that we have, most of our firefighters are working double shifts, okay? They're working double shifts. So that nap that they catch, it's not a sleep time, it's a nap. They deserve to be comfortable. That's number one. Number two, we have a lot of wonderful, wonderful town people, business people in this town. Very charitable, and they want to interact with safety. They really do. And I've been out there raising money. As everyone knows, I'm a pain in the neck. I raise money. And last year we did the fire training center, and that section of the center was approximately $72,000. And I think the cost to the town was about $1,600. Everything else, the other $70,000 I raised. Well, again, our fire chief, smart, very smart. Our fire marshal, Ray Sirocco, wonderful guy, smart guy. He instituted a safety program where he goes to different schools, buildings for big companies, small companies. We did the law firm, Carter Mario. And he has a fire extinguisher simulator, okay? We've been borrowing the one from Yale in New Haven because Ray was a deputy chief in New Haven, and he has that relationship. And we've been borrowing one for the past year and a half, I guess. Well, he talked to me, the chief talked to me. I went out, called a few of my friends, and every donor, you will see the donors' names in the paper. Yes, some are local residents of North Haven, some are business owners in North Haven, some are both. But every single person on the list that gave money, I'm on a first-name basis with, friends. We just raised another $15,000 to buy our own simulator. We don't have to borrow Yale's anymore. So Ray will be out there training people, and we have another project that we're working on that we'll announce next month probably, that we raised extra money on also. So,
You know, if I can interject here, because on these mattresses, the firefighters are ecstatic over this. I think they're 14-inch mattresses, I think. They are absolutely ecstatic. On the fire extinguisher, I think at the safety committee meeting, the training already started. And people were like amazed. They were so happy because we have a safety committee meeting that we have to meet by Connecticut laws, okay? So, and now we had, during the training, there was like a contest, right? And I think Valerie came in second, right?
hey,
Right.
6.3 seconds.
6.3, wow. That's almost a record. Really,
So-
everybody's in like 9, 10, 11.
Right. So this is all a real great positive, ladies and gentlemen. When you got the firefighters who were living on these, had these old mattresses, right? Now they have 14-inch mattresses.
Yeah.
22 mattresses, as Peter said here, right? This whole fire extinguisher thing. So what it's created is a great collaboration between, in this case, the fire department, the safety committee, and the business community.
Local business community.
Local businesses.
You know, New Haven has a saying, town and gown. New Haven deals with Yale, town and gown, and that goes back to John DiStefano when he brought that in.
Yes.
And you have to work with the community. And I came back on the fire commission again in January, and as of today, I turned over to the town just under $36,000 in checks that we're using for safety equipment only. Safety equipment only and training equipment. None of that is for televisions, mattresses, couches. That's all training and safety equipment only. And We have another approximately 35,000 in gifts in kind. So we're over $70,000 in the last 5 months just in safety equipment that the town will not be burdened with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes capital expenditures out of our annual budget. So this is what Pete's talking about.
So that's on a positive, good, cheerful note. And again, Tuesday, please come out and vote yes,
Yeah.
please. Thank you very much.
Pete, thank you. Just on a
Thank you.
personal note, thank you, Pete, for all that you do for the fire department. I was at the training facility last night at Northeast, and it's awesome, and Chief Bisson has done an amazing job with it, and you've really, really helped that facility just become what it is. It's a terrific facility, so thank you.
Great job.
And I like that as an alternative to taxes, that people who can contribute, contribute. I give to many charities and other special events. I know I would donate to, for athletic teams for the schools or high schools, that's a very good thing. And actually, Sally did exactly the same thing with the Revolutionary Memorial plaque. The town's not paying for that. We're asking people to donate, which I think is great. And I'm going to donate to the Revolutionary plaque, memorial plaque. I think it's a great idea.
You can donate to me too.
And you too,
Yeah, Sally, you got one right here. You got one.
So, I think that's maybe a better way where, people who can, because I think people are generous in many cases, and businesses are too, and if they can contribute, they will.
Yeah.
Well,
Jenny?
this makes just over
To support the community.
$300,000.
Yeah,
Let's
300,000.
go back.
Right. 300,000. Imagine that.
300.
300. Jenny?
Caldwell,
Yes.
69 Kimberly Circle.
Hi, Jenny.
Just getting up to highlight something that happened tonight at the senior center. The senior center and the Commission on Aging put on a housing forum for people that are seniors, looking at what the different options are. It was a really wonderful event. There were different places that had different options for housing, but there was also the North Haven Housing Authority was there, our municipal agent was there. There was an organization called Aging in Place. And I just want to give kudos to the senior center director, who, I won't mention her name, but she did a tremendous job, so did the staff at the senior center, getting people there, getting the tables set up, and I know there'll be other opportunities for other kinds of events at the senior center. It's, we got a bunch of new people signed up, so I just wanted to take a moment to just highlight that, because there are some really nice things going on at the senior center, and I just wanted to let you guys know.
Yeah. Please.
Yeah, I wanted to just say in conjunction with that, because we work closely with the aging, this aging commission, but also the Agency on Aging. But, I've got this big project I'm working on, and it's like 125, 130, 55 and over on the corner in back of Bill Piper's house, actually, okay? On Route 22 and over there on Bassett Road. So we brought the developer in. As Bill knows, I was involved with this with that family. And we've got this opportunity to get a little bit of relief off the waiting list for building a facility like that.
Yeah.
So I know it might be a year and a half, 2 years before it's completed, but we got these projects in that are trying to help the seniors too, so that they can maybe make a decision, like you're saying, Jenny, maybe present other options for them. And when they move out and go into a facility like in North Haven, hopefully the one that I'm just talking about, then it opens up new families that come in who are looking to get an entry point into North Haven. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll say is that I know I came here, I don't know how long ago it was, about issues that we were having, the commission was talking about on a regular basis, on struggling to understand with the subsidized housing, the waiting lists and things like that. And the director of the senior center has done a really nice job connecting with places. She now has applications at the senior center that people can fill out to get on the waiting list. She has a lot of knowledge. So if there's anyone in the community who has looked into this before and were frustrated because they didn't have an answer, she now has the answer. So you can always call back over there. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Tim Gabriel, yes.
So Tim Gabriel, Renee Lane. So thank you, Mike, for implementing that rule and for all the board of selectmen as well. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit of time to get used to that as well, too. I don't personally like when people bring their personal drama into meetings. I think we need to sort of keep ourselves and our egos out of this and keep it to things that are relevant to the public. But I have been misrepresented at meetings. My wife has been misrepresented and attacked many times at meetings. Had her words taken out of context, and that's not even to mention what goes on in the paper and on social media as well. This last couple of weeks have been really rough. And folks like you that do really hard work, our public officials, every member of the public as well, just deserves to be treated with respect. So I want to thank you for the policy. Let's make sure that it's applied equally to everybody. In terms of the ECS formula, it's clear that we all need to do our work to fix ECS because it is broken, and I think that's something that everybody acknowledges too. There were 2 Democrat-sponsored bills this past year that made it to the public hearing. There was hope that it was going to get to a vote. I sort of agree that the governor is the holdup in that situation, but a lot of folks from our town had submitted public comment to those, had gone up to Hartford and testified. I think Senator Ceccarella, even to his credit, had testified on one of those bills as well too. So there are coalitions that are working on this regularly. I know somebody in town who is in Hartford constantly working on this, meeting with representatives, working as hard as they possibly can. The effort is there, but if it doesn't change every year, then we failed. Then we didn't push hard enough. So we do have to push harder every year. So I don't think it's too much to ask that we continue to push and we continue to push harder, because obviously we're going to see more situations like this that we had this year, where just the money wasn't there for education, or people weren't willing to take that out of their pocketbooks. I do want to encourage everybody to vote yes on Tuesday for the budget. Is really, really important. I know that there are some people that are very, very stubborn, and it's going to be hard to get them to be flexible. But if everybody else, if you're thinking about this and you are on the line, I want you to really understand what the stakes are. We've laid out some of them before. Watch that town meeting, because there was a lot of talk about what the additional stakes are, especially on the Board of Ed side. And then we haven't even really gone down the road of what's going to happen to town services either, too. So there's a lot of question marks, and then not being able to meet our obligations to raises a whole bunch of other questions. So yes, please do get out there and vote on the budget on Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Tim. Okay. Nancy Barrett.
Good evening. Nancy Barrett, 1 Crestview Drive. So first of all, I'd like to thank the Board of Selectmen for addressing violations of both Robert's rules, as well as just basic standards of civility that we all learned in kindergarten. So I really appreciate that. Unfortunately, I think all of this kind of went off the rails just about a year ago at the June 2025 Board of Selectmen meeting, and I do have to also say that I do stand behind Adam, and I was very surprised at that town meeting that, in fact, the town meeting moderator did not intervene. But I do have to say that I do support the budget. Some people might be surprised to hear that, but I supported it at the Board of Finance meeting, and I do support it at this time. But I do want to at least comment on the fact that we can be disappointed that people can't find the budget on our website, and be disappointed that they're asking questions that might seem obvious to all of us who deal with this day in and day out. But the truth of the matter is, we have to be in more of a customer service oriented attitude, and I think that one suggestion that I can make is that perhaps we can provide an executive summary of each version of the budget. As we know, there were at least 6 or 7 versions of the budget this year, and perhaps a 1-page summary of the total budget and perhaps another one page of what's new on the town and on the Board of Ed side might be really useful, because unfortunately, you really have to understand the budget booklet. You have to know your way, how to navigate through it to really understand it. I know that Mr. Cohen has spent certainly a lot of time since he's been elected just getting familiar with all of this information, and it's certainly not accessible to the vast majority of people who don't come from municipal finance backgrounds. So I might suggest just doing something like that, and trying to make not only the numbers, but also the impact of the budget more accessible for folks on a regular basis. And I think that there are lots of different things that can be done to kind of summarize where we are at different points in time. And perhaps this could be a collaboration between the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen to make this information available. But I think the demand from people is to have more information, but it has to be in a format as well as using jargon that is accessible. I've been told a number of times that we need to define terminology, that we can't just be using our finance jargon. But I think that is something that certainly people woke up last year when they got their tax bills, and we certainly saw this year that people want to become much more involved. And I think that's a good thing, really. I think people wanting to not only become informed, but to cast informed votes is exactly what we all want. And I had the same question about the robocall in terms of how to make it more accessible for folks. And so I'm glad that Stephanie brought that point up. And then one question that I do have, because it has been presented to me, is, Mr. Frieda, I wondered if you could comment on the upgrade that we're all witnessing of the middle school baseball field and sort of what's going on behind that. And I'm assuming that this is all part of one of the numerous grants that were approved at town meetings.
Yeah. So State Rep Dave Yacarino and Paul Ciccarella had filed for this grant, and we have Lynn Sadowski as our grant writer, so she collaborated also. So basically over there, it's a new irrigation system, regrading of the field, new fences there for safety for foul balls that may go either particularly to the left because there's houses over there. So the field itself, down through the years, there was always a dangerous lip on third base. And I actually played there myself a few games, even before I took office in a national league I was playing in. And there was a lot of danger there in terms of, the different undulations. So everything is going to be regraded. We just there's a backstop that's back there. There's fencing, like I mentioned. The irrigation's important because, during the course of the season, sometimes, it gets worn out. There's no irrigation there. So that's kind of what it's at. It's strictly funded by a grant that we applied for from the state of Connecticut.
And it's one of those grants where we pay using, some form of financing up front and then we get reimbursement?
I don't think so. I'd have to double check that, but I think it's a full grant with no matching. There's no match. We'll take a look at the Val. I don't think that grant was part of that, so.
Okay. And the field will be maintained by Public Works, or is that part of sort of what we pay for the maintenance of Vanacore?
No, it's not part of that
It's not
maintenance,
part
no.
of- yeah.
That'd be Public Works or even the Board of Ed. Yeah, so it's a separate from Vanderbilt Field.
So it's not Board of Ed?
Grounds, right, yeah.
It is Board of Ed?
Well, the Vanderbilt Field, we put that in the town budget.
Yes, I
right?
know that. Yeah, I just
So,
wondered.
But
whether
Bailey
this-
Road Field is Board of Ed ground crew that does that.
It is?
Right.
Okay.
But we collaborate with the Board of Ed many times. We have shared services, we do that, so. But that's kind of where it's at.
Terrific. Okay, and I'd just like to encourage everyone to please come out and vote on Tuesday and November 9th. It's really important that everyone be able to express themselves through their votes. That's part of our democracy, and it is actually a privilege, and everyone should take that very seriously. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Need your help on this, okay? Yep.
You got it.
You got it. Yep. If this is the issue.
I'm going back to Reville.
Okay, I got my reval.
Please say your name and address.
Alfred Warren, Charles Court. The reval went up $85,000. So what I did was, when I found out I can go and bring it to the assessor's office, so I can set up to have somebody come out and look at my property. So I go to the assessor's office, but before I do, I give him a pamphlet about this big in an envelope. And in there was pictures, rules that are not being followed by the employees of this town, and illegal drainage onto my property from Hartford Turnpike. Sewers. Sewage, not sewers. There's no sewers up there. It's sewage. People are doing it right into the catch basins. White pipes, I don't know how do you find white plastic pipes in a catch basin coming down from the hill up on Hartford Turnpike? I had to go to the engineering department in the town and tell them about a guy that dug a trench almost 80 feet from his house to the Hartford Turnpike. The water was just flowing right out. Whenever heavy rains and stuff like that, it was running right across the road. Well, that guy doesn't have it anymore. The pipe is still there. Maybe it'll overflow once in a while. Okay? So let's talk about the reval. So, if I wish to challenge this assessment, I could file an appeal with the Board of Assessment. So I go to the assessor's office, and I pick up a form and fill it out, and return it to the assessor's office on January 22nd to 26th, because I didn't want to be late for the February deadline, which was the 20th. I hand the assessor my envelope with the application, along with some pictures and some questions regarding the reval. The assessor stamps the envelope on January 22nd, 2026, before the February deadline. On March 30th, I receive a letter from Michael Fletcher stating that there would be no change to the valuation. When the assessor took my application, did he not know about state statute CG 12-111? That there is only one change allowed by the Board of Assessment Appeals. So I went from the assessor to whoever else filled it out or looked at it afterwards. Nobody said nothing. So now I go back to the assessor's office to pick up the envelope, and there's no stamp on it. The pictures and some of the stuff I put in there is missing. My pictures and some of the questions I had are now missing. Only the application with the stamp on it with your questions, not the envelope that I gave him. So what happens? Well, I had copies. My property abuts open space. Does the open space increase or decrease my property value? Question.
Don't know if we can answer that. We're not the assessor's office.
Okay.
I'll have to defer to the assessor's office for
Okay.
that. I'm not an expert on that.
So how can you give me a reval if nobody is doing this?
Yeah, I don't know the details of this
I'm
house.
asking you, does the open space increase or decrease?
What did the
property,
assessor's
my
office
property
tell?
value?
What did the assessor's office tell you about that?
Well, you see what they're doing.
They're telling you it didn't decrease it, I guess, right?
When was the last time the Open Space Advisory Committee had a meeting?
Well, I think you're missing something. That's not,
Wait, let me finish. When was the last time the Open Space Advisory Committee had a meeting?
the Open Space Advisory Committee only has a meeting when there's land for sale. There's a difference between open space and property that's undevelopable in the town. The open space is defined by those parcels that the Open Space Committee recommended the town purchase.
Right.
And those purchases have requirements. The other 200 acres worth of property that are undevelopable all across the town, they're open space because it can't be developed.
That's right.
There's no requirement for the town to maintain those hundreds of acres.
Right. But the open space in my property is different.
You're talking about the open space on your property that,
Beg your pardon?
you're talking about open space on your property that you own.
It's abuts my property, yeah.
Oh, that
It's not
abuts your
maintained at all.
property. Right.
The
I
swales
remember you
are
did
full
come
of,
to talk to
the
us
swales
some-
are full of leaves, right? You said something about doing something for the drain, a curtain drain, a couple of years ago, about a year ago, right?
Well, we had the engineers out, we had Public Works out. Public Works.
Well, I'll tell you what, your engineer was out there with Lynn Sadowski and Laura. They all went across the property. Nothing was done. Nothing was done. Yet you write a letter to the people on Hartford Turnpike telling them, no illicit discharges, and don't be throwing your stuff across the street into the open space. It still goes on. There's bamboo that people cut and drop it across the street. Well, we can't find where it's coming from. What you gotta do is turn your head and look across the street.
Well, it sounds like you stopped it. The engineer stopped that illicit draining.
It's not my property. It's your property.
Well,
It's coming, the water runs on my property, right? I have a pump that goes 24/7, okay? I have a hose that's going down the hill now because the guy can't cut my lawn in the front. I can't let water run down the hill onto the street.
Bill?
Yeah, so, I mean, you're talking about the reval, so go,
Right, yeah, I'm talking about the revale.
Because I remember you
So
did
how
come
can my
on a-
house be worth that much with what's going on? You think somebody's gonna come out to my house and look and see what's going on there? They're gonna give me $85,000 more? No, no. My house is not worth that much no more over there. It's not worth it. Everything goes through, right? I got remember the tornado we had? Uprooted 2 large trees in the open space, right on the other side of my property line. The roots almost touched my property line, okay? They're still there. The wood was not even cut up. Nothing, nothing. And who's the tree warden? He's not following the rules and regulations either, from deep.
so, I mean,
Okay, so
those
now.
are really two separate issues, though, in terms of the
The what?
reval. They're two separate issues.
Okay, the revale.
So why do you
So
think
why
that affects?
can't, what, no, the revale is, okay?
Because an independent party did the reval.
Okay,
Included
leaves,
your-
tree and shrub cuttings along with bamboo cuttings, illegal hookups to catch basins, groundwater intrusion to my property because the swales are not maintained. So where and when the Space Committee is a tree warden? Oh, yes, and one more thing about illegal hookups. Sinaway's Pond.
All right, so Valerie, go ahead.
The town engineer has inspected your property, and I'm pulling up something from my records, and he's inspected the swales, and on numerous occasions, and he has never encountered or seen significant blockage that you're reporting.
Well, that's his problem.
Well, he's the town engineer.
I know he's the town engineer. He's
Yes.
been there once.
He's been there
And
many times.
even the Open Space Committee, they're supposed to go out there and have a meeting.
That's not their
and go-
job.
All
The
right, Val.
Open Space Committee
I
is
think
not their
that-
job.
So
to
what do you call them, the Open Space Committee?
Val,
then?
why don't you, just let-
But I think as Mike's explained already, that's to actually
Yeah,
make
okay.
new open space. They don't, you've already had the, I think.
Okay,
the
one more
appropriate
thing about
people-
legal hookups, all right? Sinaway's Pond. There's a pipe that comes into the pond, goes up the hill, up the Hartford Turnpike. I don't know where it comes from. I had the water tested. You can have those aerators going 24 hours a day, and ain't gonna do nothing in that pond. Okay? You got a reading on that. That was almost 140%. And it's coming from stuff coming off the lawns, fertilizer, and the biggest thing of all, septic. That's what's coming into Sidway's Pond. You can go have the water tested yourself. I had it done at the agricultural station, free of charge. 140% potassium. That's big. That's big. I was scared when they had the kids going fishing over there, at the fishing derby. Hope the kids didn't eat the fish. There's no fish living in there now.
That's kind of a separate issue from your
So
revale.
let's get back to the revale.
That's separate from your
What's going to
revale.
happen?
I think the assessor's office has made a decision, and that's what it is. So, well, I'm not sure.
Well, he's gone now.
It's not anything, nothing we can do about that. That's a decision that's made, by them. That's their
Well, why
responsibility.
didn't anybody know about this? Nobody, he didn't know? The assessor did not know about that?
About what?
But that you can't do it?
Can't do what?
My revale.
Again, they determined that the number that they gave you for the
Oh,
revale.
he never came out to my house.
Oh.
Years ago, they used to come knocking on your door.
Again.
Now you get shot.
Al,
Nobody, my revale was more than yours.
Right, Pete?
Nobody came, they looked at what my house has, they looked at the permits that were drawn. They've got pictures of my house, and they increased my property more than yours.
Al,
Dave, you want to say something?
I'm really sorry you're having so much
Well,
trouble
the
with
next
your
thing,
house.
I'm gonna have Deep out there.
I'm really sorry you're having so much trouble. I'm not sure that we are.
Yeah, that we're the right
We're the
ones
right
to
group of people
give
to help
you-
you manage this issue.
give you
but I am-
guidance on this.
Okay.
I'm sorry that it's been so
One more
troublesome.
thing, I wanna talk about the fire department, all right? I did 31 years on the fire department,
I
okay?
remember.
As a firefighter and paramedic, the first class. Pete knows, I know the fella he's talking about, the kid was a fireman in New Haven. I was just getting off the job when he came on, right? Nice kid, very smart, good kid.
Very smart.
How many firemen did you last in the last couple of years?
3.
How many have you lost?
Right.
3.
3? Just 3? I count 5.
He said 3, said.
And you lost a life?
No. Yeah,
Oh,
who died?
Oh,
Not in the line of duty or anything like that, but
3.
died.
You lost 3 in 38 months.
Okay. One guy came home after working how long? Dropped dead in his house.
He worked a shift and a half. That was Anthony.
Shift and a half he worked,
Anthony.
right? And then you want to put do you want to put 2 new firemen on?
That's what's in
That
the
it,
current
Pete?
budget.
That's what's in the budget.
That's all I got in the budget.
Yeah.
I don't mean to cross talk. And if I
Yeah,
get
okay.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, go ahead, Al.
But the thing is, the budget's for 2 firemen. What are you paying these guys in overtime? What are they gonna retire with? I did good with mine, you know? I retired, I was still working after I retired. I went to school and became a fire investigator and an accident reconstructionist, right? Worked for an insurance company for another 15 years. It's terrible. And you 2 firemen, that's all. When we were trying to get the cancer bill passed, all right, I asked you, Mr. Frieda, do the guys get a physical every year?
That's
Right?
a whole different story, Al, that I
know
can't
it's a whole
discuss here.
different-
Pete,
They
you know
did-
that.
Did they get a physical every year?
We can't touch that right now.
Can't touch that.
And he's a fire commissioner, we cannot comment on this. Pete?
I asked you the last time and you answered it.
No, no.
Okay? Let the
Thanks,
people
Al.
say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you vote for the budget?
Thanks for your service.
Did you,
Thank you for your
Al, did you vote for the previous budget?
Beg your pardon?
Did you vote for the previous budget?
Yeah.
All right. Should we move forward, fellas?
Let's move forward, okay?
Yeah.
I think we're getting wrapping up here, folks, okay? So,
Sue's got one more.
okay.
Mike, you brought up the 55-plus housing that's supposed to be going up over there, Clintonville and Bassett, and you gave a timeline, which is really good. Is that affordable housing, or is that for all of us?
Well,
I'm just asking,
it's
I
a-
don't know which way it's going in.
it's like a Tuscan Villa format is what it will be. Tuscan Villa. So I'm not sure if it's an affordable component beyond the rents that Tuscan Villa and those type of facilities have in the 55 and over facilities. So, but that's their decision. The developer has to determine whether or not they can go in term of affordable housing. We don't know what the rents are going to be. But
Okay, so we don't know if it's gonna be income restricted.
We don't know that yet, no.
Okay. And if this thing goes up, and I know on Facebook you said something about that, with this tower, you have very little say, if any, in what's going on there, if I read it correctly.
We have no say, yes, you're right.
Okay, that's what I thought you were saying, and I didn't want to say
Yes.
NL. But somebody brought up, I think it was Mary, about a barrier, like the tree barriers or something, because if you're going to be building more housing there has to be kind of some more barriers. I mean, I'm a mile and a half down the road, and with all the trees that have already come down in the area, you hear everything. So I was just wondering if, the tower is gonna have to have the barrier thing up, if that's something that can be, that's not our
We have not-
avenues at all.
Must be addressed in zoning.
Okay,
Yes,
all
well,
right.
no,
Just wanted
actually,
to know, because-
it gets addressed by the siting council. It's a
Oh.
separate entity. And
The state has delegated all that responsibility to themselves. We had the same thing, when we're talking about solar fields, where we have no, they have public hearings, they make the decision, and there's no, there can be comments from the municipal side, but they don't have to follow anything we suggest or do, so.
Okay.
So,
All right.
one
That's very
No, I
close to where I
appreciate
live,
it,
so
because
it's gonna be on
I have been
402
looking, and
Glenville, I
I've
know.
looked at Tuscanvilla, but for some reason they don't respond to me. I
they-
guess
yes.
they see me on Facebook, on this thing.
So let me, for those watching that still are confused on this issue, in 2003, the laws were changed, that there was no local oversight on cell towers. So what that meant was neither inland wetlands nor planning and zoning had any input on it in terms of going through the regulatory bodies. This has now evolved to one of the biggest controversies in the state. Every mayor and first selectman across the state is upset with this. Now, the flip side of this is the reason these cell towers, these carriers hire consultants, here's the paradox of the situation, that they get calls from residents in the area that cell phone service is dropping. So the carriers, whether it's Verizon or whoever it may be, AT&T, they hire the consultant. The consultant goes out to say and determine where can we maximize so there's no cell phone droppage. And then they go to these areas. And then they go to the siting council. And then they go there because this is a way to maximize the cell phone coverage. Too many calls are being dropped off. But when it happens, we've got nothing to do with it. And this is where the public meeting that Mary was talking about. People come out, we don't host a public meeting, they do. And the people can come out and protest it or support it. And then the siting council has a website where emails can be sent in by residents in the area that can object to it, or other residents can support it. It has nothing to do with the regulatory bodies of the town of North Haven. This board, planning and zoning, in wetlands.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
It's just like the situation with utility rates. We have nothing to do with that, and, it's done by, Public Utility Regulatory Association or whatever, bureau, and that's what we got.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, seeing no further comment, we'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? All right,
Aye.
thank you.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.